Good afternoon. I'm Dennis Galucki, and welcome to the 551st Imagine Buffalo program and our 173rd Imagine Greater Buffalo YouTube program hosted by our wonderful Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Now, this program is created by the Center for the Study of Art, Architecture, History, and Nature, and ImagineLifelongLearning.com. So glad you joined us today. Before we get started, there's just a little housekeeping. Everyone watching will be muted and your video turned off. If you have a question or comment, please type it into the chat box and we'll go through them at the end of the presentation as time allows. We are recording this program so you can watch it again later on the Downtown Central Library's Facebook page and YouTube channels. And please, we hope you share the link with others. Now, on to our featured speaker. Joining us today is Beth Fronckowiak. Now, Beth serves as Director of Learning and Engagement with Buffalo Toronto Public Media, also known as BTPM. Beth has a Bachelor of Science in Design and a Master of Science in Art Education from Buffalo State University, and has been at the local PBS affiliate for almost 19 years. The many educational media projects and learning initiatives on which she has worked include documentary films such as Frank Lloyd Wright's Buffalo and Reimagining a Buffalo Landmark, Let's Go, an accessible virtual field trip series, and the Ready to Learn initiative. Beth will be speaking with us today about Leonardo da Vinci, a new two-part, 4-hour film documentary exploring the life and work of the 15th century polymath. Leonardo da Vinci will air on the local WNAD PBS station in November. And, well, here is Beth to tell us more about it. So let's welcome Beth Fronckowiak. Beth, take it away.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Dennis, and to the library for having me. I'm happy to be here, excited to talk about Ken Burns' upcoming film. I do want to give a shout out to all of our project partners. It's been a huge community initiative, and bear with me. I'm going to share my screen so I can show you some slides. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see that.
We can see those, Beth.
Okay, great. Okay, so there it is, Leonardo da Vinci. It's premiering November 18th and 19th on WNAD PBS at 8 p.m. both nights. It is a 4-hour documentary. I've seen the whole thing. It's really awesome. So give it a shot. So as I mentioned, we did have lots of community partners for this project, and our first is the Birchfield Penny Art Center. We started doing kind of these community initiatives and projects over the summer, just really to promote this film because we're so excited about it. So the Birchfield Penny Art Center held STEAM-focused workshops every Saturday in August. So there's a few photos of some families going to participate in some of those events. I also wanted to mention the library. The library is a great partner of ours. They're always game to be a part of every project that we work on. So this was an event that we had in the end of September, and we showed clips from the film. We also heard about their rare book collection, so that part was really cool. And we also had a cryptics game. And if you're not familiar with what cryptics is, it was popularized by Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, the book and the movie. And so participants had riddles that they had to solve, and then they hunted all over the library for their next clue, and they got a prize at the end. So that was really cool. Then at the end of September, we also had a screening and panel discussion here in the studio where the filmmaker actually traveled here to be a part of the panel. David McMahon is originally from Clarence, but he's now with Florentine Films. And he always enjoys coming back to his hometown PBS station to help us out. So he did that again. As you can see in the photos, it happened to be a day when the county executive was making a visit to our station. And so David McMahon took extra time to meet with the county executive, gave him an autographed poster. And it was really cool. He also did an interview with Jay Moran, and I think that will be on WBFO closer to the premiere of the documentary. But then we had a great crowd for the actual screening and discussion. And I just wanted to give a shout out to other panelists. We have another partner is AKG. So their director of community engagement was actually the moderator for our panel. Other panelists came from UB. The Ryan St. Pierre was from the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering and the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at University at Buffalo. And then Simone Ragland is CEO and founder of Families Aimed Toward Excellence and Chief Executive Director of Bits and Bytes, a STEM program for families. And Yvonne Widener, who is an assistant professor of art history at Canisius University. So if you weren't able to join us that night, it was a great event. I did want to mention about David McMahon. He and his family, as part of this Leonardo da Vinci filmmaking process, they actually moved to Italy for a while. So I'm very jealous of that. So he was able to speak about all the places that da Vinci had grown up and been to. So that was really cool. Another partner I wanted to mention is the Foundry. And I don't have any slides for that one yet because that is coming up this Saturday. We have a sold out event where people can watch some clips from the film and they can try their hand at creating a Da Vinci style kite, and tours of the Foundry will also be available. And then one last thing before I talk a little bit more about the film and we watch a clip, is as part of this project, we also worked with the Buffalo State Art Conservation Department to create a Let's Go video. And if you're not familiar, those Let's Go is a digital series that we created that kind of gives you behind the scenes looks at culturals, museums, libraries. We did a Let's Go episode at the library, but this one was focusing on the Art Conservation Department, and we did it kind of in conjunction with our Leonardo da Vinci community initiative. So that episode is currently on PBS Learning Media, where all of the Let's Go episodes are, and we wrote curriculum to go along with the episode. And in this episode, our host, Christina, explores Buffalo State University's exclusive art conservation department to discover how conservators historically have used science and art to restore iconic works like Da Vinci's The Last Supper. So check that episode out of Let's Go as well. And then I just have, if you want some more information about the project, the documentary, everything that PBS is offering for Leonardo da Vinci, it's at that website, pbs.org/Leonardo. So I will stop sharing just to give you some updates about the film. Let's see. Stop share. Okay. So Leonardo da Vinci is Ken Burns' first non-American subject, and it also marks a significant change in the team's filmmaking style, which includes using split screens with images, video, and sound from different periods to further contextualize Leonardo's art and scientific explorations. When David McMahon was here with us, as I said, he put a lot of research and time into this production, and he shared with us that this project in particular, as you can imagine, was visually challenging because there weren't archival photographs or first-person accounts of anything. So, for example, in one of his other Florentine Films projects. They did a documentary about Muhammad Ali, and there were thousands of available archival photographs. As you can imagine, almost his entire life was documented. But they really struggled with this documentary because nothing was available. So I think that's why they went to that different approach in filmmaking, and you'll see in a minute what it looks like, and it's amazing. So the film looks at how Leonardo da Vinci influenced and inspired future generations, and it finds in his soaring imagination and profound intellect the foundation for a conversation we are still having today. What is our relationship with nature, and what does it mean to be human? Set against the rich and dynamic backdrop of Renaissance Italy at a time when skepticism and free thinking, regional war, and religious upheaval, Leonardo da Vinci brings the artist's towering achievements to life through his prolific personal notebooks, primary and secondary accounts of his life, and on-camera interviews with modern scholars, artists, engineers, inventors, and admirers. So I do have a short clip for us to watch now. And let me share my screen again, and we can do that.
We're not hearing your audio that well, just so you know, just this last part.
Let's try.
Let's see.
Major funding for Leonardo da Vinci was provided by the Better Angels Society and its members, the Paul and Sandra Montrone family, Stephen A. Schwartzman, Diane and Hal Brierly, Carol and Ned Speaker, and these additional members. Funding was also provided by Gilbert S. Oman and Martha Darling, the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, the Robert and Mercedes Eicholtz Foundation, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Can looking back push us forward?
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Billie Holiday.
Will our voice be heard through time? Can our past inspire our future?
Act of concern.
Bank of America supports filmmakers like Ken Burns, whose narratives illuminate new perspectives.
Painting is born of nature. Or rather, it is the grandchild of nature. For all visible things are produced by nature. And these, her creations, have given birth to painting. So, we may justly call it the grandchild of nature, and related to God.
Nature is God. Nature is perfection. Nature is proportion. Nature is the entity which obtains every effect with the shortest and direct way that is possible. The best a scientist or a painter can do is imitate nature.
He has an amazing sense that nature is a perfect invention, that there is nothing superfluous and nothing lacking. Nature does nothing in vain. If the bone is that shape, then it must do something. Every small aspect of that form must have a function. He does claim that the human being can take things from nature and put them together in a different way, and that you can invent things that nature didn't invent, so you could act as a second nature in the world.
In the late 1470s, Leonardo finally left Verrocchio's studio and opened one of his own,
with his own apprentices and assistants. Between commissions, he devised and drew machines for an array of purposes. Some were inspired by the designs of classical inventors or Renaissance engineers, and all were informed by his close observations of nature. The spirals in a snail's shell, the eddies of water in a surging stream, and the swirls of wind induced by a thunderstorm. He drew an Archimedes screw, an ancient device created to force water to flow upwards, and sketched construction machines, a mill for processing grain, and a human flying contraption featuring bat-like wings. For Leonardo, building the machines often seemed beside the point.
What is beauty for Leonardo is proportion and harmony among his parts, and his balance between light and shade, his organization of all the inner parts in a way that provide an immediate perception of coherence. This is why I like to call these drawings portraits. He takes the same care in making them as he puts into portraying one of his famous ladies.
Not being a literary man, certain presumptuous people will think that they may reasonably criticize me, alleging that I am a man without letters. Foolish man. They do not know that my subjects are to be dealt with by experience rather than by words. And experience has been the master of those who wrote well. Therefore, I shall cite my master in all cases.
He says that I am a uomo senza lettere. I am a man who has no traditional knowledge. And this is a kind of admission which is in fact an expression of proudness. I've learned not from libraries, not from books, but from the observation of nature. Nature is the real teacher. I am a disciple of nature. Many expressions in his notebooks express this frustration for not being considered as an intellectual, we would say today, as a scholar. At the same time, this was tempered by the self-confidence of knowing much more than those people, being able to perform things that the others not even could conceive.
The bird is a machine that functions according to mathematical law. Man has the capacity to create this machine and all its motions, but without as much power. Such a machine lacks nothing except the bird's soul, which must be counterfeited by man. Now, Leonardo returned to a subject that had captivated him for as long as he could remember. This writing about the kite seems to be my destiny, because in my earliest childhood recollection, I was in my cradle, and a kite came to me and opened my mouth with its tail, striking my lips several times.
He has this idea of this kite, this bird of prey, flying down and actually putting its tail in his mouth as if kind of like a shaman receiving the secrets of nature from an animal. And this idea that it was his destiny, as he calls it, we might call it his obsession, to pursue the subject of birds from this moment on.
My sense is that as he was aging, that he begins to fashion himself more in the guise of the great philosopher, thinker, magician. And so the prophetic voice starts becoming more and more apparent in his manuscripts of this mature and later period.
He continued to design flying machines, but his focus would now be more scientific. He sketched the birds darting and diving above the hills north of Florence and noted how they beat their wings to compress the air and rode the currents to climb and soar. Later, in his studio, Leonardo refined his drawings and reworked his analysis of wind patterns, aerodynamics, and gravity.
When the bird wants to lift off, it raises its shoulder bones and beats its wings toward itself, compressing the air between the tips of the wings and the bird's chest, which causes the bird to rise up.
And you can see how it draws the movement of air. You need to use the drag of the body in order for the wind to do the work for you to lift you up. These are delicate understandings of how aerodynamics work. So to me, it's somebody that had a complete understanding of dynamic soaring and how birds use gravity to store the energy and the wind itself to do the work.
In time, he would gather his impressions in a compact manuscript, or codex, dedicated to the flight of birds.
All the principles that Leonardo is exploring about what makes a bird fly are always based on geometrical proofs. So it's this constant dialogue with geometry and mathematics.
Il a un système visuel qui est absolument incroyable. Il y a dans ses dessins, par exemple, sur le carnet sur le vol des oiseaux en plein vol, où il note qu'une aile s'abaisse et que la queue se tourne pour que l'oiseau change de sens. Comment est-ce qu'on peut voir ça? Léonard le voit.
Though Leonardo would continue to study birds for years to come, he would never realize his dream to build a human-powered aircraft capable of flight. It would be almost 500 years before anyone would succeed.
Quello che veramente conta per Leonardo è il sogno, è l'immaginazione. A lui non interessa tanto realizzare, fare veramente nella realtà quello che immagina. Ed è così anche per il sogno del volo, che ad un certo punto questo sogno diventa quasi una profezia.
Stop it there.
Go ahead.
I know there's just a few minutes left, but if anyone had questions, I could talk about Leonardo for a long time.
Well, Beth, that was a wonderful presentation. Let me get back in here. And a real good teaser. It seems to me it deals with our current situation. If we have ears to hear and eyes to see, he invites us to be, my takeaway line, disciples of nature. I heard that in it. And as we try to deal with sustainability issues, and I can just see where his wisdom is really ours to reflect on, at the very least. How about for yourself? You actually saw the 4 hours. What's your takeaway in personally?
Well, actually, everyone thinks they know a little bit. I mean, they probably do know a little bit about Leonardo da Vinci, but watching the full 4 hours, I learned so many things that I had not known before about him. So I don't want to give any spoilers, but I do encourage everyone to watch. They talk about the Mona Lisa, and there's a whole story behind that. That's probably, his most well-known aside from the Last Supper. So there's a lot of backstories that you get that you probably didn't know about previously.
Well, let's engage our audience and see what questions they have. Joy, how are we doing?
I've got a couple of questions. Beth, somebody wrote, Da Vinci looks like it's a wonderful and beautiful film to watch. We know it's hot off the press, but any inkling as to what Ken Burns' next film will be?
Oh gosh. Actually, yes, I do. I do have an inkling. As you probably all know, the big 250 celebration of America is coming up. So he does have the American Revolution coming out, and that, and I can't remember how long it is, but it is much longer than 4 hours. So he's been working on this for a very long time. At the station, we're hoping to do another one of these community engagement projects around that film as well. So that is the next one. And I'm not sure, I can't tell you when it'll be out. I don't even know yet. Sorry.
So the next question is, if someone misses it when it's on local Buffalo, Toronto public media, will it be on the internet? Does the station plan to rerun it?
Those are good questions for our broadcasting department. I do know that I believe it'll be on Passport. I think you can watch it online, but I could certainly look into it and let anyone know if you're curious.
And then let's see, we've got Beth, did you find opportunities to align the content of the film with today's school curriculum? The film's content seems rich in STEM opportunities.
Yes, it absolutely is connected. That's why when we had our panel, we wanted to make sure that we had those perspectives of engineering and arts and, you know, even the journaling, even ELA is involved. We at the station did not do any of the curriculum for this because this PBS Learning Media, actually, which I referenced earlier, will have a whole collection where you can show some of the documentary and then do activities with that. I don't think it'll be available until November, like we're very close to when the documentary premieres, but there will be a whole part of Ken Burns in the classroom on Leonardo da Vinci. So yes, there will be resources.
I do have another question. The interviews with the historians seemed very interesting. Is there an opportunity to at some point hear the long form interviews? Does PBS make those available as part of the whole documentary?
I don't think so. I don't think that would be available.
Okay. Someone wants you to repeat the date and the time it will be on.
Oh, sure. It's 2 nights. It's November 18th and November 19th, starting at 8 p.m. both nights.
Dennis, those are the only questions Yep, those are the only questions we have.
Well, let me know if any others pop in. We'll just spend another minute or two, but Beth, public television, we're going to be doing a piece on the book Creating Reading Rainbow in November 19th. And I'm just, there's a reference to E.B. White talking about the possibilities of public television for education purposes. You're right in that role personally. Do you think it's done a good job? Do you think there's potential to do a better job, I guess is maybe the way to put it, relative to helping us connect with library, public schools, education in general, lifelong learning specifically?
Yeah, I definitely think I think it's unknown to many people that public media stations have education departments and do this type of work. I mean, we go out all the time to schools, we go to, you know, family literacy nights, and I just think that the resources are there, but not a lot of people know about it. So we are trying to, you know, raise awareness of what we have to offer. PBS Learning Media is actually a huge resource. It's a free platform for educators where they can find that media content that has been paired with classroom curriculum. So we actually offer free workshops. You know, I have a a coordinator in my department who just, she's been setting up these workshops and will go out for free also. So if any school districts have, staff development days, she will do that really for anyone. She's gone to higher education institutions for pre-service teachers, just so they can learn more and more about what there really is to offer. So I would say that it's out there. We're just, having a hard time making sure everyone knows about it.
Well, we've done our best at this end we have a Buffalo Day at Chautauqua, for instance, and WNED has always been a component of it as you show your videos to a national audience at Chautauqua. It just is a treasure to have in our backyard, now called Buffalo Toronto Public Media. Most cities don't have a creator of content in their backyard, and we are blessed to have that and showcase it, at least on that day, Buffalo Day, which, by the way, will be July 15th, coming up week 4 at Chautauqua. And yes, we're gearing up for the Erie Canal celebration. So you're going to be featuring some part of that. We're going to try to put something together. And then very nicely, as you allude to, the next year, 2026, is the 250th of the country. And Ken Burns will be helping us out with, I'm sure at that point, with something. So a lot to look forward, and it really is a treasure. So Beth, thank you very much. Joy, any last questions coming in or not? Okay. Well, thank you again for joining us, folks. And thank you, Beth. We hope you'll join us next week, Tuesday, October 22nd, on Zoom, when we welcome Brian Higgins, former U.S. Congressman and current president and CEO of Shays Performing Arts Center. Now, he'll be sharing more on our civics themed topic as part of Imagine Buffalo's civic education series we've been doing jointly with the downtown library. Hamilton is playing there at the same time. Maybe we can get somebody from the cast to join us and have that as a bonus. We'll keep you posted on that. All right. I also want to send out congratulations to everyone at the Downtown Central Library celebrating 60 years in the current building in Lafayette Square. The library hopes you will join them tomorrow, Wednesday, October 16th at Big Ditch for a fundraiser, and on Friday, October 18th, for a free all-ages celebration at the library itself. I'm Dennis Galucki. Be well and good day.